Hello, my name is Chris Tsakalakis, and I am a venture partner at Serac Ventures. Today, I'm going to talk about the elements of a pitch deck. If you're an entrepreneur who's trying to build your business, I want to help you build a better pitch deck and increase the chances that you'll actually get funding. At Serac Ventures, we look at pitch decks every week. We look at a lot of them, and sometimes there are pitch decks that are just missing the essential elements. And so I want to help you kind of avoid mistakes and again, improve your chances. In case you don't know, Serac Ventures is a seed stage venture capital fund. We focus on financial technology, also known as fintech, B2B SaaS, that's software as a service, and commerce enablement. And by seed stage, we are looking at companies that have a product, have revenue somewhere between 500,000 and $1 million a year. Um, as for myself, as a venture partner, I don't make direct investment decisions, but I am a three-time CEO. I was formerly the CEO of StubHub, and then Vivino, the wine app, and the last CEO gig I had was at Kiva, where the nonprofit that does crowdfunding for microloans. So, with all that as background, let's get into it, and let me talk to you about the elements of a pitch deck. And of course, in order to explain what's in a pitch deck, I have my own deck. That's what happens when you grow up as a management consultant. All right. So these are the essentials that go into a pitch deck. I'm going to talk about each of these individually, so you don't need to write this down right now. There will be a summary at the end, and there will be no quiz. The first thing you need to have in a pitch deck is the problem, specifically the problem that your company is trying to solve. Um, the world needs things. It's not looking for things that are just nice to have. And so you have to explain what problem you're solving. The initial problem that Uber was trying to solve was that it was hard to get a taxi in San Francisco. And more broadly now, they solve the problem of how to get from point A to point B without actually owning a car or having public transportation available to you. So when you have a problem in your pitch deck, the things you should show is that the problem is large, that it's growing, and the problem is timely, meaning it's a problem that's happening now, as opposed to a problem that's been around for centuries and has been solved centuries ago. The thing to avoid is to focus on trivial problems, small problems that aren't that important or that big. Sometimes we get pitch decks where they talk about something, and my response is like, I don't care. It's just not that important. So try to focus on real problems that are substantial. The next element is the solution. And while this part is probably the most obvious, the solution is the description of what your company does and how it solves that problem you just talked about. This is the part that is often missing. You need to show how your solution actually works, what it actually is. In addition to that, how you make money, which is also known as a business model. You can do that with videos. You can do it with screenshots or graphics. You can do it with little flow charts, whatever it is. But be sure to explain what it is your company actually does. I can't tell you how many times we get to a presentation and it does what I have here on the avoid side, which assumes that the audience knows what you do, or does essentially something, this little comic here, it's a math equation, and then a miracle occurs. It says, then a miracle occurs, and the math equation is solved. Um, Often we get presentations that are like that they explain the solution, their company is some kind of miracle, but they don't actually explain what it does. So don't do that. The next element after problem and solution is the market size. This is another element of problem. How big is the market you're going after? And so on the show side, the things to show, typically what people show are the TAM, the SAM, and the SOM. So the TAM is the total addressable market or total available market. This assumes if you had 100% market share, how much money could be made in this particular market. The second element is the SAM, the serviceable addressable market. This is the size of the market that your product can actually serve. So it's going to be smaller than the TAM. And then lastly is the SOM, the serviceable obtainable market. It's the size of the market your product actually serves now. So if you're only available in one city or one state, you need to focus on that market as opposed to the worldwide market. The thing to avoid is assuming you'll get more than 30% of any market. It's not going to happen. You're not going to get 100% market share. It's unlikely you get 50% market share. In general, as a venture capitalist, as an investor, we assume at best you get to about 30%. The other thing to avoid is talking about the entire size of the industry sector, like the total market for e-commerce. We know what that is. You're, no one's addressing the entire market for e-commerce. You need to focus on which part of the e-commerce market you're focused on. So, problem, solution, market size. Um, After that is your competitive advantage. So you have this solution, you're addressing this problem. It's a big market. Why do you think you can win or be competitive relative to everyone else that's out there? So the thing to show is, how does your solution compare to the competitors out there? One way that I've seen people do this is they have a 2x2 matrix, like a box or a big box with four little boxes, and it compares where you are, where your company is on a map, showing two product features. Things like along one axis, it may be price, low to high, and the other axis may be extensiveness of the features or number of features, again, low to high. And so your company may be, low price, but lots of features, as an example, relative to the competition. The other way to do it is a feature comparison table. So you can show a table that shows your features, the features that you offer relative to the ones offered by your competitors. In a more mature company, you can actually show market share, or you can show your revenue or the number of customers you have relative to your competitors. But in an early stage company, these are often the ways of showing your competitive advantage. The thing to avoid is saying you have no competition. I can't tell you how annoying that is to hear. And I've often heard that in my 30 years in Silicon Valley, we have no competitors. That's bullshit. So be sure to acknowledge that you have competitors, that even if there is no one doing exactly what you're doing, there's a reason that not everyone is your customer. Be clear about what your potential customers are doing rather than working with you or working with your solution. So uh, problem, solution, market size, competitive advantage. And then after that is traction. You're in a great market, you have a great solution, you're competitive, prove it. Show us what you've done that shows that you're doing a better job than your competitors. The best thing to show is profits, but again, at a seed stage, that's unlikely. We look for annualized revenue, the amount of your annualized revenue and the month over month growth of that revenue. And preferably, we're looking for recurring revenue. A lot of software as a service is a subscription model. So once you sign up a contract and the contract is worth 30,000 a year, that's part of your annual recurring revenue. But at either rate, we're looking for revenue. What's proof that customers actually believe in what you're doing and have picked you relative to the competition? If you don't have revenue, maybe you can talk about your number of customers or users and the retention of those customers or users. What the things to avoid are press coverage, awards. Other people like what you're doing. That's really nice. I would pat you on the head for that if we were in person, but it doesn't really help. We're looking for traction. How well are you doing? And show us some proof of that. And awards and press coverage is not it. That doesn't actually pay the bills. So once you can show traction, then you can talk about your team. The reason that team is really important, especially at the seed stage, is that while the company is very early, the product is early, you really don't know where this thing is going to go. It may be that in a year you decide the company has to completely pivot and do something else. And really what we're looking for is the strength and resilience of the team. How good is the team at figuring out the market, at understanding customers, at building products, and then more importantly, at adapting to the realities of what they see. They may have full conviction about the solution that they're doing right now, but we want a team that's resilient and it's going to be able to bounce back and work through obstacles because there are going to be a lot of them. It's really hard to build a business and it takes 10 plus years. So we want a team that can go the distance. So what we look for when we look at the team page is we want to know who the CEO and the founders are. And the things about them are, do they have previous successful exits? Do they have previous startup experience, either as a founder or even as someone working at them? What other previous work experience do they have? Did they work at a large company or small company? Do they have experience in the market that they're targeting? And then lastly, education. That's nice to have. You don't necessarily need that. The thing to avoid is to talk about every employee. Seed stage companies tend to have less than 10 people, and sometimes the team is like everyone. I don't need to know about everyone. I just need to know about the CEO and the founders, the people who are actually driving the company. All right, after team, this tends to be the last page in most presentations. It's the amount of funds and how you plan to use them. And so what we want to know is how much funding do you want to raise? We cut checks between 250 and $750,000. If you're trying to raise $30 million, we're unlikely to be a good investor for you. We're not going to write a big check for you. We want to know how the funds will be used. Will it be used for marketing? Will it be used to build a sales team? Will it be used to build out the product? And then probably more importantly, what are the goals to achieve with these funds? So if we give you this money, what do you hope to get if you get that money, what do you hope to get accomplished so that at the next stage you can raise more funds? Then lastly, what type of investment is it? Is it a priced round? Is it a safe where you're asking investors to invest in a note and then you get a discount on a future investment? There are a variety of different ways to take in money, so be clear about the approach you want to take. The thing to avoid is to dictate your evaluation. Investors decide how much the company is worth. Maybe you have a term sheet and you already have a valuation. That's fine. Someone else has set that price or that value for you, and you're looking for someone to fill out the round. That's a different thing. But if you don't have a term sheet and you're just looking for investors, don't pretend you can dictate the valuation. It's not going to work that way. The investors will tell you how much they think your company is worth. All right. As an added bonus, if when you send your pitch deck, there are a few ways to do it. The things that we've seen work well on the use side is DocSend, which is now part of Dropbox. Canva is a design platform, but it also has a pretty decent way of creating presentations and sharing them. PDF attachments work. Google Docs can work as long as it's unrestricted access. So the thing to avoid is restricting your access. I can't tell you how many times I get a link to a doc that's on Google Drive. It could be a Google Slides presentation or it could be a PDF, and it says it's restricted and you need permission. It's like, do you want the investment or not? Like, make it easy for your investors to look at your pitch deck. And again, don't restrict the access. All right, so to summarize, one more bonus, some nice to have items. Later stage companies will have these. If you have these, that's great, but these aren't essential. So some things that are nice to have are customer feedback, case studies. Both things tell us how well you're doing in the marketplace, what customers think about you, how customers use your product. A go-to-market strategy. How are you actually selling your product or solution? That could be marketing where you're doing mass marketing on, let's say, Facebook, or you have a sales team, or you're working through channel partners. That it's helpful to understand how you do that, and it helps us understand how efficient you can be in terms of the capital spending. Your financial projections. Financial projections, especially on the revenue side, tend to be really rosy for seed funding, and they get haircutted, meaning when we look at them, we just discount them right across the board. So maybe for the next year, if you have clear projections, that's great. But for the most part, the financial projections are seen as a kind of fantasy land, and I don't spend that much time on financial projections put forward by a seed stage company. Your current advisors and investors, again, nice to have, don't need to have that. I'm an advisor to a lot of companies. I know there's only so much value I can provide. So it's not like your advisors are going to make or break your company. Why now? There's always an issue of timing when it comes to investment. Why should you invest? Why is this business being built right now? What is it about technology, about the problem, about your solution, your ability to build the solution? Why is now the best time to build this company? And then lastly, the potential ways to exit. Again, for a seed stage company, you don't need to do that, but ultimately, if someone makes an investment in your company, they want to get the money out. That's what the exit is. And to do that, the company can go public. It can get sold to another company. If you know in your mind, like, here are the companies that are likely to buy us in the future, that's fine. But if you just say we can get acquired or go public, there's no value added unless you have specifics. Or it can point to maybe other companies in the space that have had a successful exit. All right, now to summary. So the pitch deck essentials are the problem, the solution, the market size, competitive advantage, your traction or traction to date, the team, and the amount of funds and their use. And that's it. If you'd like to apply for funding, if you are a seed stage company in the fintech, B2B SaaS, or commerce enablement space, you can apply for funding. We do have an online form at seracventures.vc/founders. And in it, we will ask you for all of these elements, especially revenue, and we'll ask for your pitch deck. And hopefully your pitch deck will be better positioned as a result of looking at this video. Thank you so much for taking the time, and I sincerely hope this helps. Take care.